All right. Holly?
Hi, Dave.
Phones down, please.
I'm researching.
Phones down.
Didn't you just ask me to do some last-minute research? Okay, fine. Welcome to What Difference Does It Make?
Hey, Holly. How's it going?
Hi, Dave.
Yes, Dave and Holly. We have a podcast. It's called What Difference Does It Make?
Welcome.
Yeah, we talk all things 80s. The last couple weeks, we've been talking album covers.
Yeah.
With our special in-studio expert, Nick Longo.
Creator of the What Difference Does It Make logo.
There you go. Give me some credit.
And more.
There you go. I wish I had done an album cover. That would be even better.
Oh, we got to get you on that. Well, welcome back, Nick.
Yeah, thanks for having me back.
This is great. Go ahead and plug. Where do we know you from? Where can we find you?
You can find me. The best plot is on Instagram. I'm at Longo Designs, Longo Designs with an S, and everything's linked on there.
Very good. Microphone. Yes, exactly. No swiveling.
I'm sorry.
Just stay focused.
I see her moving all the time,
She
too.
does.
You don't scroll her the way.
Well,
he does.
I'm trying.
He's being very kind to me today.
Well, see, we should have a guest. That's why we should always have a guest.
Right.
Exactly.
It's all about appearances. Okay, so the last two episodes, we talked album covers and what made them so special. Mm-hmm. Now we're going to talk about actual band logos. Some of these are iconic. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you look at them and you recognize immediately the band.
The font.
Yeah.
The style.
Yeah, as we've talked about, you could look at the font and it might not even spell the band, but you will know that this is Kiss or this is Aerosmith or, it's just something unique.
Believe it or not, you can even find like the Kiss font, and it's called that when on some of these sites, if that they exist. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
you know you're an icon if you have a font named after you.
Whenever I send packages to my daughter in college, I always use the Disney font just because that because that evokes that type of memory. That's it's so unique. And, she sees it and it puts a smile on her face. Aww. So that's before she even opens it.
You're so
she knows
mushy.
that there's something. Yeah, I am.
A whole new world.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, Holly's complimentary. I'm like, oh, well, how dare you?
Yep.
All right. There you go.
And
that's what makes our podcast so special.
Are you being sarcastic?
No. We're
Okay.
Very sincere here at the What Difference Does It Make Studios here. So let's start with Nick. What do you think creates something so memorable about
a logo?
About a logo,
yeah, especially a band one.
Yeah, I mean, you work on packaging a lot.
Yep.
When you're packaging something for, I don't know, spaghetti sauce or I don't know, whatever. Yep. Is there something tangible that?
What's the secret sauce?
It's a secret sauce.
Get it?
Yes.
Secret sauce.
Yeah, okay, I will accept that one.
I'm sorry. So cheesy. Oh, my God.
I'm going to step out now.
Yeah, I know. See, Holly's had enough now. That's okay.
First logo is Salt and Pepper. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Okay, that was actually one of my favorite. I love that album cover.
Yeah, it's a great one.
Yeah.
Okay, going back to your question on logos. So, man, I think the one thing you can say is that, and probably you can ask these bands, if there's one thing your logo can represent, what would it be? And if you can list out a few words that are very tangible to, again, expectations like we talked about in the first one, then it works. I think AC/DC is a perfect example that when you say, like, what do you want it to be? Do you want it to be a little bit rebellious? Do you want it to be a little bit gothic? A little bit scary, a little bit like energetic, like
electric.
Right, exactly. And I think in most branding situations, you do list out these words. And before you do any kind of even first sketch or anything of a logo, you want to have some list of things that you and the client or you and the band have agreed upon. And maybe some of these bands, I always live hearing stories of bands that actually created the first logo themselves, because probably before they're signed or anything, they create these things. So it has to stem from something that represents you. And I always try to get clients to do it in one word. Like, what's the one thing it should be? And as long as we have that, everything else kind of comes secondary. So I think you can look at some of these logos and say, what is it representing about the band that's so cool? Like, look at Aerosmith's. Like, what kind of words come to mind when you think of that curvy, the Aerosmith logo, right? Right? How it's like, every word every letter fits into each other perfectly.
Oh, no.
What does it mean to you?
Yeah, well, I I always think of the wings, actually.
Yep,
You know,
exactly.
like this is something that's going to take you away.
There you go.
You know, something about the font. Mm-hmm. I mean, you really have to look at it, like what, you know, but it draws you in, though. You
Yeah.
see, I mean,
So
first
what
I
is-
see the wings.
What do you think?
Yeah.
When you think about it, like when you look at that thing,
The font.
look at everything about it. And don't even be too specific. It's like you look at it as a whole, and I think you
It
nailed
looks
it
like
by
a
saying
super.
wings.
That's it.
It's
I
like
mean,
a superhero kind of.
It's
You know,
very,
like
it's heroic in
Yeah.
a way. When I like to look, if I could really break it down, you look at the way the font is done, and it's very harmonious, right? It has everything fits together well. So like, now I don't know, they've had their ups and downs as far as a band, but if you think about it, you think of harmony, you think of smooth, you think of like a lot of their stuff was really like what characterizes them as a band. You hope it's in their logo, you know? And I think everyone gets a different, you can probably ask 15 people and you'll get a different answer,
Yeah.
but it's personal to you as a listener and a fan. So that's why these logos, I think, really are important. And also too, why they have to be a little bit flexible. Bands and times change. So does their logo. So you can look at bands like AC/DC and Kiss that never probably have changed it, right? It's
Right.
And it works. But also, what's different about AC/DC and Kiss compared to the Aerosmith logo? If you were to look at Aerosmith's logo and let's say AC/DC's?
The letters are more clear.
Exactly. But also too, is it less or more AC/DC?
Oh, well, it's simple. It's simple.
Simple.
Yeah.
Super simple.
It's just, yeah.
Yeah. So
it's just, the lightning bolts. And that's,
So like you can almost have an argument that the Aerosmith typography is very groovy 70s inspired, a little bit Woodstock, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So it might have to change with the times a little bit, but AC/DC, Kiss, God, I'm trying to think of like anybody else. Rolling Stones, you know, obviously their icon of the lips and the tongue. It's done. No one, it doesn't need to be changed. Because it is less.
So you're saying you think that something should be done to the Aerosmith logo, or they have done
No,
anything? 'Cause
I just think they've probably had different renditions of it or different variations of it that look very similar, but maybe they dropped the wings and only had the lettering. Maybe they used the wings alone to symbolize it. Because let's face it, they've stood the test of time more than most bands. So if they're lucky enough to be on for many, many centuries, right, or decades, it could have to change down the road, you know?
Yeah.
Like Queen's logo was very simplistic and cool, and they've done different varieties of it. But the main core of it has stayed the same. What they surrounded it with and what they put around it
Yeah, you're right.
were probably more appropriate to that album or that time.
true.
You know?
It's funny. I was reading about the Aerosmith logo.
Yeah.
You mentioned about band harmony.
Yeah.
The little blurb I got here is, it says, first appearing on Aerosmith's 1974 album Wings, this motif has lasted a lot longer than the man who designed it, original guitarist Ray Tabano, who had actually left the band by the time Wings was released.
Oh, wow. What a good fact.
Yeah,
So you're saying that the logo was created,
by a band member.
but for the Wings album.
Or
And then it just stuck.
First appeared on the Wings album.
So he could have
Get
done
Your
the
Wings.
typography, and then for the album, they created this whole emblem with the wings
Yeah.
and the outline. So maybe his Aerosmith type was what was there prior. That's a cool little fact.
Yeah.
I love that.
All right. Here's the little fact about AC/DC.
Oh yeah, talk to us.
Designed by Atlantic Records VP and creative art director Bob Defrin, AC/DC's now legendary logo made its debut on the international edition of Let There Be Rock. It is one of 4 logos to feature lightning bolts. The others being Kiss.
Yep.
You got your Metallica, and Grateful Dead.
Totally right.
Yeah.
Interestingly, designer Gerald Hirata. Oh, I'm going to
Gerard Huerta.
Huerta.
Ooh.
Holly Oblas very well.
Ali Oblas.
Habla.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
All right, how'd you say
Stay
that
in
last
your
name?
lane.
I know. Well, all right. So the designer
Gerard Huerta.
based the typeface on writing he'd first seen in the Gutenberg. Damn it,
Gutenberg.
reading is hard.
Printing press.
Yes. So it's based on the typeface on writing he'd first seen the Gutenberg Bible, which is the first ever printed book.
Interesting.
So the first ever printed book had that typeface. Oh my God.
Wow.
Damn it!
You and AC/DC.
I'm trying. I'm
We're going to take over from here.
Really, I should not. Too many donuts. So anyway, the typeface for AC/DC is based on the Gutenberg Bible.
Huh.
Yeah. So there you go.
There's a fun fact.
There's your. I love. Well, we throw out fun facts as much as we can on this podcast.
The best.
Well, as long
Wait,
as
didn't you just say go ahead?
Oh,
yeah.
Shit. What are you saying?
Just kidding. Go ahead.
Okay.
Finish up.
No, I was just going to go with that because we were talking. I mentioned the Grateful Dead logo, which appeared on the live double album "Steal Your Face." That's when it first appeared. It was a Grateful Dead roadie who came up with the idea. He saw a similar design on a road sign and thought it would be a good motif to print on the band's equipment as a way of identifying it.
Whoa.
So there you go.
Which later became like what everyone does on tour equipment.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. So there you know.
Yeah.
That
Nice.
logo, everyone knows that logo.
Damn.
The skull with the lightning bolt on top. It works. It's memorable. Go
But I'm going
ahead.
to tell you, I just saw something, and I cannot remember where I was, but it was on a venue. I can't remember where I've been the last few days.
Yeah.
That's a bad sign.
No.
I swear to you, it looked like the Grateful Dead logo from a distance, and I was probably a football field's length away. And it turned out it was the logo so it was the red, white, and blue, and it looked like a lightning bolt in the middle from my distance, but it was actually the logo for a fight that's coming up.
Oh. You know what would be interesting, too, is like a lot of times, too, like using the likeness of a logo
Sure.
is kind of on purpose sometimes, hoping they can catch your attention.
Exactly.
Thinking it is, and that's kind of like, it's like a cheap way out, I think. It's
Well,
like,
I agree with you.
Because you're riding the coattails of something that's
right.
tried and true and obviously copyrighted. So it's kind of like when didn't Kanye West change his logo and made it replicated the Metallica logo?
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, and
I
I mean
remember that.
like blatantly copied it and had it with the exact same lightning bolts on both the first letter and the last. And again, like it's kind of like this, like, okay, do you get away with it because you're basically admitting that you're,
I bet you he
plagiarizing?
wouldn't. I bet you he'd have some Kanye way of explaining
Of
this.
course, yeah, of course.
Although I do sometimes it's done in an amusing way. I've seen T-shirts with like with the lightning bolt, and it'll Hall & Oates.
Oh,
with like
there you go.
like
In the
with
AC/DC
with the
way.
AC/DC
Yeah,
way.
that's
like,
kind of fun.
Yeah,
I
But that's
I
like
love,
tongue in cheek. That's
definitely.
supposed to be funny.
right.
Sure.
No, I love that. Like this, where it's completely opposite and kind of throws you off. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The Carpenters.
Yeah, the carpet. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. With lightning bolts.
a lightning bolt.
Oh, yeah. No,
Or a tongue.
yeah. Also, Ace Frehley. Is it Frehley or
Frehley.
Frehley.
Is it Frehley? Okay. Is it?
I don't think either would be wrong. Peart.
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 Did he make the Kiss logo?
Oh, yeah. Ace made the Kiss logo.
Oh, shit.
Oh.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yes, he did.
I love that.
Yeah. So, yes, band members, it's always what seems to happen is.
That's great.
Vision of a band member.
Yeah.
Which is
It's great.
legitimate.
Okay, let's stop it right here. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to What Difference Does It Make?
Our interview with Nick Longo. Let's get started again. Because a lot of these guys are art students.
I've always
David Byrne.
I've heard great stories about like bands before they got signed and they were touring or whatever, and they were the ones they had to do gig posters, they had to do something.
Yeah.
And there's a whole other industry of gig posters, and it still exists now. Some of the top designers are doing gig posters for bands reminiscent of the ones that were done in like the 70s and the 80s.
Classic.
And they're limited edition. So they do these small shows and they print maybe 100 of them, and they become somewhat little collector's items, which is kind of cool.
I like that. There's a reason for that. They appeal to you for a reason, your emotion and your visually.
I'll show you the one I just bought. It's pretty cool.
Who's it for?
It was for Toto, believe it or not.
I
And they chose the Africa Safari to do for the poster, and it was done by a design friend of mine. His name's Tad Carpenter. If you get a chance to look that up, it's pretty amazing. And it was so cool because it looks like a modern, fresh, incredible poster, but it's this beautiful like graphic elephant in the like safari.
Yeah.
And it just says Toto, and it was for a specific date of their current tour, which is so cool. Like, love stuff like that.
Limited
so it's really
edition.
neat. Yeah.
Yeah, bands make posters a lot of times.
Exactly.
Just for their show, just for one show.
One show.
Yeah, there's always they get some graphic artists to create something unique for that one show.
Yeah.
It works.
And they're true printed.
Yeah.
notes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
they're beautiful
amazing.
works of art. It's wonderful. We've bought a few of those posters in the past.
There you go.
Love it. Also, James Hetfield created the Metallica.
I love hearing
Oh.
that. That's so cool.
Yeah. So yeah, band members have other talents besides.
And that one's so interesting because it does some funky things that a typical graphic designer might be a little like, oh, I can't believe he did that. He totally botched the M and the A, whatever. But who cares? It's iconic.
And
it's
it became
right?
what it became.
It looks like something that a junior high kid would write on his peachy folder or something. I mean, this is something like he was designing, and that's it. This is what I'm going to do.
It kind of reminded me of this.
Oh, well, the devil horns. Yeah.
Even though it's reversed down, but it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You represent that as what a sea of people will be doing in an audience, and doing it. So it's just it works 100%. They never need to change that.
Yes.
You just hit on something I was going to say about peachy folders.
Yes.
Remember being in junior high and writing the band's names on your peachy folders and
the brown paper bag on your book, your test book?
Yes, on your book cover. Mm-hmm. But the simplicity of a logo, being able to draw the logo, you just had a bunch of them up before this.
Yeah.
Nick had a page of them. I think right before that, because you had Van Halen with the Van Halen and Kiss was easy to.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and I remember writing them, and Led Zeppelin, the font, the Led Zeppelin font, on your peachy folder.
And I think it was almost like a silent competition amongst you and your other friends, who
How well you can do
it
them
better, and can you find a cool spot in the PG folder to squeeze it in? But I remember even drawing logos of bands that I didn't even technically like.
Yes,
but you just still did because you're I want people to think I like Metallica.
The association, you're the association, yeah, yeah,
totally cool. But I'm glad you mentioned Van Halen. 'Cause that's one of those ones that, again, it's not really symmetric. It's got some funky perspective going on, but yet it's still, they're never going to change it. It works. Yep. It's so representative of them, right? I don't know. What do you guys think about when you see the Van Halen logo? What does it represent to you? I mean, you see wings, you see
well, it looks like you're racing. I mean, it looks like a race car or something. I just you're speeding down the highway.
It's very automotive.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I could put that.
It can't drive 55. I'm sorry.
That was before him.
I know.
but actually, ZZ Top had. Now that I think about it,
same idea.
Same type of look.
Almost. I wouldn't be surprised if it was the same designer.
Could be.
Ooh, I don't know. But you're totally right. The racing stripes, it feels like it's a hood ornament.
Yeah.
You can almost see it.
Oh, yeah.
And I also think you think of V because of V8, when you see Hot Rod and stuff. So think of it's pretty sick. I mean, it's very
it's very sick.
I love it. God,
see, it's fun. You just mentioned, and this is just one of those what logos are supposed to, you automatically think Van Halen, or you see the logo, even if you see the name, it'll make you think of the logo and vice versa. But you just mentioned ZZ Top, and I couldn't picture the ZZ Top logo right off the bat. But you're right, I see the similarity now, but I had to look it up.
Yeah.
What does that say?
And it looks like they've had a few versions of it. It's the same style, but then the application of it changes. Sometimes it's all chrome, that kind of stuff, but interesting.
But I wouldn't have. So what does that say? That I can. When you said ZZ Top, the ZZ Top logo, similar to that, I couldn't even picture it.
Maybe because it hasn't been so solidly represented, like the Van Halen logo, always the same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you couldn't picture, and I was the same. I remember seeing two Z's kind of overlapping.
Yeah,
but you're right. I don't think I could recall what a ZZ Top logo was 100%.
One of those
Well,
food for thought.
Well, there was a great, it was one of those social media things that kind of showed up probably 7-8 months ago. They asked 100 people to just draw the Burger King logo, draw the Adidas logo with no phone, nothing. And they got, every version of it imaginable, but it was so funny how some people nailed it so closely just from memory. Mm-hmm. So imagine the one that people messed up a little bit was trying to do the mermaid of Starbucks. Because we all know that from far away, and it's only one color, right? And it kind of is iconic. But could you draw it in any detail close to what it really is? Because it's got stripes, it's got dots, it's got stars. So there's so many different varieties of what a logo is, but
it almost doesn't matter. It almost doesn't matter because everybody has the idea of what it is and they know the association no matter if you picture it differently than I do. We still know that that's it when you see it.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
And ironically, too, you know what they did like a year and a half ago? It tells you with any brand or whoever you are with a logo, if you can do one thing, you've nailed it. And you know what they did? They dropped Starbucks completely out of...
Yes.
It's just the mermaid.
Yeah, it's just the shield.
The mermaid. Wait, is it a mermaid?
Yeah,
I
it's a
always thought it was a
mermaid.
mermaid.
I don't know if it's a mermaid or just...
Or, no, a siren? Is that what they call it?
I think it might be a siren.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There's something unique. I think there's something different, but regardless.
Yes.
Imagine, I'm trying to think of like Rolling Stones would be a perfect example. You barely ever see the word Rolling Stone
Right.
written for them as a band. You just see the tongue logo.
This is so funny.
Works on its own.
My dad used to be, before he was retired, he was in the sign business. So he would make signs, whether you see them, in stores or the signs that you see outside of store, like a Starbucks sign. That was his business. And I remember him telling me years ago when companies consolidated, like Citibank used to be something longer, or like JP Morgan, they all had longer names.
Yeah.
They started cutting off or shortening their names partially, and I don't really know if this is true or just his perception of it. They started shortening them because the letters are so expensive.
Yeah.
That if you could make your brand known with less letters, of course it makes perfect sense.
Yes.
Especially when you have 1,000 locations.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And you have to put those. So
Starbucks is saving a shit ton of money.
You got to be a little efficient.
So
I'm off. I'm off track.
but going with that, I mean, there's a few logos that I'm looking at right now where I can just see the logo and they don't have to have the name in there, and I would know the band. The two that I'm looking at, Black Flag and Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yep.
Black Flag with the 4 bars, Red Hot Chili Peppers with this star or asterisk, whatever.
Yeah.
That represents the band, and that's,
totally
it means a lot to a lot of people. I know. I think the story is Dave Grohl wanted to give himself a Black Flag tattoo. He was doing it by himself. He only got to 3 bars because it was hurting too much. So I think he only has 3 bars on his
Does he really?
for his tattoo.
And that is not Black Flag.
No, that's not Black Flag. but that, I mean, it meant a lot
now
to
it's
him.
the Foo Fighters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways.
But it's those, like, something about the bars or the asterisk. It means something. It represents this band without looking at who, without seeing those words.
And there's a really good argument people talk about with same with the Nike swoosh. It's exactly the same idea. But like, is it a great logo? Maybe not. But what it's done is it's stood the test of time. It has been out forever. And then the brand itself, and you can say the same for these bands, they have made that logo work by being the band they are. Like, a no-name band could have had an even better logo, but if they never really lasted more than 5 years, had more than one album, toured the world, whatever, all those impressions that you have seen of those logos have made it work for you.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
That's true, yeah.
That's really what the true test of it is now. And like, in other way, and what's cool about bands, and we were talking about this before this, like, we couldn't think of current bands right now, or even artists, who have an identifiable logo, and they really don't sometimes. They got to change them so quickly with the times, right?
Yeah.
And so you got to wonder, in 20 years, can people have the same conversations about current artists right now?
All right, so this is a good time to stop, and we will return next week with our interview with Nick Longo.
I love talking logos. That's very exciting. We'll have some more with logos next week.
Any interest in what Nick is talking about, you can follow him at Longo Designs on Instagram, and you can follow us. Where can you follow us, Holly?
WDDIM Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook,
Until next week, this is Dave.
This is Holly.
Check you later.
Over and out.